My name is Paul Phillips, I'm from Northumbria Social Students.
I'm Cecile from Paris and France.
I'm from Clare, I'm from Brighton.
The reason why I've come up here was actually it's quite a lot quite personal to myself, this campaign anyway, because I'm actually on the sick. And due to the employment laws both imposed by the EU and Britain, I am not entitled to sick pay, so I'm getting absolutely nothing. And as a student, I cannot live off just the basic loan. I've actually got to get income, and I've been forced to move back in with my parents.
I'm here because as a student I'm going to be leaving university in a couple of years, and I know it's just not going to be a job there for me. I think it's important that if we can all fight back now so that we have a future which looks a bit better than it does at the moment.
Okay, if people can take their seats, we'll begin. As National Organiser of Social Students, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Youth Fight for Jobs Conference. And in this hall, we have activists from all over the country, from Dundee, from Cardiff, from Birmingham, from London, nearly every major town and city across the country.
Well, we've 150 people, all around the country, most of the major towns and cities. We brought people together today to try and discuss a strategy to build this campaign, Youth Fight for Jobs.
Just in response to the Chair's opening remarks, let me say my union believes in organising young workers. We believe it's an absolutely essential role of a trade union to give young workers a chance, not just to fight for jobs, not just to work and be grateful for the chance of a job, but to get organised.
I'm called Kay from Walthamstow branch.
My name is Matt from Stoke-on-Trent. I work for the NHS.
I'm here because I think it's very important that young people realise the possible impacts of this recession.
We've had a good response in the trade unions as well, so there's trade unionists here, students, unemployed youth and workers as well.
I've joined Youth Fight for Jobs. In my own workplace we're facing privatisation and job cuts.
Out of this conference, we aim to build a mass movement of young people and the working class against the jobs massacre, against young people being thrown on the scrap heap, against the tax on education and against the tax on benefits. But we're also fighting for decent jobs, for free education and a different society as well.
The very elite that New Labour poured scorn on in words in their manifesto, the banks that received tens of billions of pounds in bailouts, with the likes of Fred Goodwin walking away with millions in his pension pot to live very comfortably the rest of his life on. While at the same time, hundreds of thousands of workers around the country, at Visteon, as Matt mentioned in his opening remarks, the 30,000 Woolworths workers, the 2,000 Chorus Steel workers who were made redundant yesterday, as well as the hundreds of thousands more who are simply drip by drip falling onto the scrap heap of unemployment. What complete hypocrisy to say to them, you're expected to live on £60 a week job seekers allowance while we have literally everything in our capacity to throw at the financial system to bail them out.
Life isn't easy, but believe me, you can beat me with a CD on the TV. All you need is a PC and a mic with a USB lead and a 16B. Yo, life isn't easy, I work hard for a sleazy 150. You might see me on the street with a Chinese selling DVDs to make ends meet.
Everybody knows that life is rough. Everybody knows that life is so rough. Life is so rough. Everybody knows that life is tough. Everybody knows that life is so tough.
I'm Helen Irvin, I'm a PCS representative from Newcastle. I'm here for the Fight for Jobs because I feel that the youth need a chance to have a genuine social contribution to Britain.
I'd like to congratulate the ISR on initiating this Youth Fight for Jobs campaign. And the PCS Young Members Network, as Matt's already said, have contributed to the conference this weekend in terms of motions and getting involved in the campaign.
Okay, so without any more, I'll introduce Tom to the first motion, which is for international socialist resistance.
Young people like ourselves are at the sharp end of this recession. We're more likely to be in insecure employment, in the casual, temporary or part-time contracts that are often the first to go when bosses begin to swing the axe.
Can I see all in favour of that amendment? Anybody opposed? Any against?
I think it's been a really, really good conference, but it's also been a really long day. I don't really want to go on too much. My name's Jackie Berry. I'm president of the Medway Trade Union Council. When the Youth Fight for Jobs campaign was first initiated, young Socialist Party members took the Youth Fight for Jobs to the Medway Trade Council. It was so well received by trade unions, not just trade unions, left-leaning trade unions, but trade unions of all stripes, who can see that the only way the trade union movement is going to move forward is by revitalising itself with young people. Anyway, the first speaker is going to be Cecile Rambo, who is a member of the French section of the CWI. So over to you.
I came here to talk about perspective for the struggles in Europe and in France. And in the youth in France now we have very, very interesting struggles and very interesting perspectives. And I'm here to talk about the need of an organization to enable youth to struggle in an efficient way against the government.
Newly elected national organiser for Youth Fight for Jobs, Sean Fink.
Right, okay, well this conference, I think we've taken another fantastic step in establishing Youth Fight for Jobs as the crucial reference point in the fight against youth unemployment. We've made it clear today that we refuse to be ignored and forgotten about because we're young. We refuse to be thrown on the scrap heap before we were even given a chance. And part of arming the activists in Youth Fight for Jobs is posing a political alternative and inscribing that on our banner as well. And that is why I'm a socialist and why I would argue for the socialist transformation of society, where the economy is planned under the democratic control of ordinary people, where need replaces the greed of the bosses. But by taking conscious control of the economy, we can begin to eradicate poverty and inequality, and economic crises and unemployment become curiosities of the history book. The question of do we accept capitalism and the temporary reprieve that it may grant us eventually, at least of course until the next crisis breaks, and we all find ourselves out on the cobbles again with no jobs, with cuts to our services, or do we fight for a different society where we can put all of this behind us? We've seen an anticipation of these questions being raised today in the speakers from No to EU, from the RMT. Imagine what we could achieve with a new Workers' Party, able to unite in one mass organisation the anger of millions of workers, young people, students. Is that Youth Fight for Jobs is determined to ensure that this generation is not a lost generation, but a generation that inscribes struggle, solidarity, and socialism on its banner and fights for our future.
We're going to get a lot more support. We'll be demonstrating at the Labour Party conference in September, and when schools finish this year, when colleges finish this year, when there are 600,000 young people looking towards no future in the dole, we'll say to them, you know, take action for 2 weeks, come out and protest with us, come and march in your local area, organise yourselves with our fortnight of action, which is taking place, you know, from the end of June into the beginning of July.